In episode 6, John and Quiet race back to catch up with Mayhem, and she is struggling big time. Chucky Floop is all over her, and she's trying very hard to evade him, but it's not really working. If it wasn't for Quiet and John, she probably would have died. And you would think that she would be appreciative of their help, but she's not. When Quiet tells her to drive ahead so they can watch her back, she's just kind of like, yeah, okay, whatever. And Quiet can't believe the reaction, but they do it anyway. I mean, they watch her back and they do save her. Quiet ends up killing the tow truck driver. They've then got to deal with Mr. Grimm, but they can't shake Mr. Grimm. So much so that John has to call for backup for Krista, and the cavalry rushes in. She's about to hit that EMP, and when she does, it malfunctions. It doesn't work. Krista now has to use her guns to get Mr. Grimm off the tail of her brother and Quiet, and it works. Mr. Grimm chills out. It seems like they both are headed for Tournament City. It seems like everything's going well until Krista gets shot right through the chest. She's not surviving this. The harpoon-like machine pulls her off her quad, and she knows she's done. But she's not going out alone. When the guys who pulled this stop to marvel at what they've done, Krista, who is still armed with her pack, shoots it, triggering the rocket from the sky and killing everybody involved. But for John and Quiet, they have no idea about this. They've made it safely to Tournament City, along with a slew of other people. The first one there was Raven. After that, you've got people like Frostbite, Axel, Mayhem, obviously, Sweet Tooth, who is not pleased at all with Stu. Actually, after arriving across the finish line, he throws Stu against the ice cream truck, scaring the crap out of him and threatening him for not listening to him. For John, however, he is just focused on Krista arriving safely. For Quiet, meanwhile, she's focused on Mayhem. As soon as she gets out of the car, she says, "What the hell was that back there?" Thinking that she might get a thank you from Mayhem, but Mayhem doesn't give it. She just tells Quiet, "I didn't ask for your help." And it's pretty clear that she is not grateful at all. That's when Calypso announces that everybody has arrived, and John says, "No, we're waiting for another driver." And a few seconds after saying that, Krista's ATV arrives without Krista on it. It's just her doll mask. At that point, John knows that Krista's dead. Everybody that has arrived safely gathers into a school bus and heads to where they'll be staying during the tournament. It's during the ride that Quiet tries to comfort John, but John is playing this Tommy Toughnuts act like he's not upset about what happened to his sister. Calypso then grabs the mic and gives a few announcements on the tournament. He explains that they will compete in multiple rounds, each more deadly than the next. If they survive, they advance, and the last driver behind the wheel gets their wish granted. The biggest rule, however, is no killing outside of an official round. If you do that, you're disqualified. It upsets a lot of people, but no one more than Sweet Tooth, who really, really wants to kill Mr. Grimm. These two have a past. They don't like each other. That is obvious. The group then arrives at where they'll be staying, and it's a local high school. They get their room assignments. They go through a physical, believe it or not. And after all that, Calypso tells them that they can work on their cars in between rounds and do upgrades as much as they want. They also have a cafeteria, they have bathrooms, like you name it, they've got it there. One person, though, that is upset about her room assignment is Raven. She wants her own room, and Calypso explains, "You're not getting it." He also reminds her that her entering the tournament was not part of the plan. She selected a driver, she lost that driver, and now she's here, and he's the one who has to deal with it. So these two had discussed who would be driving for New San Francisco before the tournament actually started. Raven, though, tries to act tough with Calypso, telling him that she's the leader of the most powerful city on the West Coast and she will get her wish granted no matter what it takes. But Calypso snaps her back to reality real quick. He shows his magical ability. His eyes go completely dark, and he reminds her, "Yeah, well, in here, you're in my city, which means that you're an outsider." And then he reminds her, "Don't mess with my tournament." Well, those two clearly were familiar with each other, so was Stu and Mike, and Stu hasn't let the relationship with Mike go just yet. It's pretty clear he's still jealous of Dave, so when he sees Mike and Dave hanging out and high-fiving each other, he tries to insert their history a little bit. He reminds them, "Hey, does this remind you of the school that we went to?" But while trying to reminisce about the good old days, you've got Sweet Tooth reminding him about the reality of his situation. That Stu is not part of Mike's group anymore. That he's a part of Sweet Tooth's group. And that's a group that Mike doesn't want any part of. This is something, by the way, that has been noticed by Dave. The fact that Stu is trying to be buddy-buddy with Mike again, and he feels replaced. So when everybody heads to the cafeteria to enjoy a meal and grab some drinks, Dave goes up to Stu and says, "Look, man, I know what you're doing. It's pretty obvious." And you might think that Dave would be angry about this or maybe throw a threat, but he says, "I love it, man. If you want to be a part of our group, no problem." And that's something that Stu has been kind of waiting to hear, because you can tell the relationship between him and Sweet Tooth is on the rocks, even though Sweet Tooth doesn't realize this. Stu is clearly rethinking his partnership. The problem is, how does Stu get out of the partnership with Sweet Tooth? Because Sweet Tooth is a psychopath. He hasn't really thought that part through yet. Meanwhile, you still have John sulking a little bit about what happened with Krista, and Quiet doing her best to remind him about the goal, about Krista's wish to have the walls taken down. She says, "We got to win it for her." And John seems to be on board. And when they head to the cafeteria, everybody there is greeted by Calypso, who explains that he will call them one by one into another room where they will make that wish. It's pretty straightforward. And as soon as the first person goes into the room to make the wish, Sweet Tooth shows just how much of a psychopath he is by attacking Mr. Grimm. He's choking him out. And it's Stu who has to grab him and say, "Dude, you're going to get kicked out of this tournament, and then no one will know who you are. Is that what you want?" And of course, that is not what Sweet Tooth wants at all. He wants the world to know that he is the most deadly killer out there. He reluctantly lets go of Mr. Grimm. He and Mr. Grimm throw threats back and forth at each other. But if they want to kill each other, they're going to have to do it in the tournament. As for the participants, though, one by one, they go into that room, they make their wish, and the last people to make their wish are Quiet and John. And when they head in, they're very surprised, because in this room, in the middle of a school, mind you, it's like they're in the middle of a forest with a wishing well and coins. Quiet goes over, she grabs a coin, she announces, "I want all the walls taken down." And then she drops the coin into the well. Right after making the wish, an exit sign pops up, and both her and John start going towards it, but then John remembers, "Oh yeah, we forgot Krista's mask," because they brought it along with them. It's not like you need two people to grab a mask, so Quiet ends up going to the exit, and then John goes to grab the mask, but as he's looking at it, he's thinking about all the memories he had with his sister. It's not like there are a lot of them, but they all are rushing back. So right before he leaves, he grabs a coin, and he announces, "I wish for Krista to be brought back to life." And then he drops it in the well, and he heads for the exit. Thank you so much for checking out this recap. Please consider subscribing to the channel and subscribing to my Patreon. Hit thumbs up if you liked it. Smash that thumbs down button if you thought it sucked. If you left a comment, I don't get back to you. I usually don't check the comments unless they're like a super comment. Also, if you don't see the next video up on the end screen, not to worry. It'll be up in a day or two.